Hi, I'm Engineer Darwin and welcome back to my channel. I make tutorial videos about mathematics, science, and engineering para sa ating mga aspiring engineering students and also educators like you. So, pag-usapan natin ngayon yung proving trigonometric identities, and this is part of the trigonometry playlist that I'm going to make. So, hopefully makatulong yung playlist na yan sa inyo sa mga nag-aaral ngayon ng trigonometry. So, what you're seeing right now is the common identity natin sa trigonometry. So, pag sinabi nating identity, ang ibig sabihin lang nun ay yung left-hand side at right-hand side ay equal. So, pag sinabi kong right-hand side, ito yung nandito sa bandang kanan. And yung left-hand side is yung nasa kaliwa. So, meaning, for example, sine theta is always equal to 1 over cosecant theta. So, ang tawag sa group ng identities na to ay tinatawag na reciprocal identities. Dahil kapag kinuha mo yung reciprocal ng trigonometric function na yun, meron siyang equivalent na another trigonometric ratio or function. So, meron tayong 6 na reciprocal identities. Sine is the reciprocal of cosecant, while cosine is for secant. Tangent is for cotangent. And vice versa, pag kukunin mo yung reciprocal ng sine, it's cosecant. Secant naman for cosine and cotangent for tangent. Another set of identities natin yung tinatawag na cofunction, which is also I mentioned sa isa sa ating mga videos. So, pag sinabi natin cofunction, that is the angle subtracted by pi over 2 in radians or 90 degree. Okay, so ang cofunction ng sine is cosine. For secant, it's cosecant. And for tangent, it's cotangent. So, pandahan naman natin yung next set of identities natin na tinatawag na Pythagorean identities dahil base ito sa Pythagorean theorem na a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So, pag kinuha mo yung square or sum of the squares of sine and cosine, it's always equal to 1. Okay, so pagdating naman sa tangent and secant, that is 1 plus tangent squared theta is equal to secant squared theta. And last on our Pythagorean identities is 1 plus cotangent squared theta is always equal to cosecant squared theta. How about our even and odd identities? So, kapag meron kang negative angle or sine of negative theta, for example, is always equal to the negative of sine theta. So, for example, meron kang sine of negative 30 degrees, it's always equal to negative of sine 30 degrees, and so on and so forth. So, sa even and odd identities, meron tayong mga function na nagiging positive kahit negative yung kanya angle, such as cosine and secant. So, tandaan nyo itong part na ito. Ngayon, pagdating sa quotient identities, tangent theta is always equal to sine over cosine, or the ratio of sine and cosine, while cotangent is the ratio of cosine function and sine theta. So, this is a basic foundation for trigonometric identities. Marami pang ibang identities na ating i-discuss sa next video natin, but for the meantime, dito muna tayo mag-settle. So once you're familiar with this, okay, pwede na tayong mag-prove ng trigonometric identity. Sample problem number 1. So in this equation, sine theta times the sum of cotangent theta plus tangent theta is always equal to secant theta. So we are asked to prove yung identity. Ngayon, meron tayong dalawang ways para ma-prove natin itong identity na to. So, ang una is, pwede mong i-manipulate ang left-hand side. So, ito yung tinatawag na left-hand side or right-hand side. Ngayon, dahil wala naman tayo ma-manipulate sa right-hand side, dahil isa lang yung ating trigonometric function, ang pwede natin gawin is we need to algebraically manipulate the left hand side. So, ano yung mga pwede natin gamitin sa ating manipulation? So, pwede natin gamitin yung tinatawag na quotient identity, which is yung cotangent and tangent. So, sulat natin ito sine theta. So, cotangent is always equal to cosine theta over sine theta plus ito cosine theta is equal to the right hand side. What can we do next is to distribute this function over here to the dalawang term na to. So what will happen for the first term, na siya, and then distribute natin to sa second term. Ngayon, to sa ating first term, maka-cancel ito, and then meron tayong sine squared theta over cosine theta, which is equal always to the right hand side. Again, ang next natin gagawin dyan, ipag-add natin yung dalawang terms. So, magiging ganyan siya. And then, kapag minultiply natin to dito, what will happen? Cosine squared plus sine squared theta is equal to the right hand side. Ngayon, this is familiar dahil sa ating Pythagorean identity, this is always equal to 1. So, the final term is 1 over cosine theta, which is always equal to, or this is what you call a reciprocal identity. This is actually secant theta. So, mamaya summarize natin yung mga steps na pwede nyo gamitin to prove trigonometric identities. But for now, let me have another example. For the second example, i-manipulate natin itong equation na to. So what can you do is either you manipulate the left hand side or the right hand side. Okay. So let's do the left hand side muna. Ano yung pwede natin gawin dito? What can we do is to multiply a conjugate and then this one is equal to the right hand side. Okay, so what will happen to these two terms in our numerator? Magiging difference of 2 squares ito, and then multiplied by this term. Ngayon, using our Pythagorean identity, we all know that cosine squared theta plus cosine squared, sine squared theta is equal to 1. By manipulating this, 1 minus cosine squared theta is what? Sine squared theta. So you can replace this by sine squared theta or alpha 1 plus cosine alpha sine alpha. So mangyari dito is we can cancel or you can divide like terms. So matitira dito is 1. Sa numerator side is sine alpha. So the final answer looks like the right hand side. So yan. So nakuha mo na yung identity. What can you do on as an alternative solution is to manipulate the right hand side. So mangyari is you also multiply it by its conjugate. Multiply tayo dito na 1 minus and 1 minus. So if you multiply this term, what will happen is this is okay, and then you can simplify this as sine squared alpha, which is by cancelling sine alpha, you will get this term. And kamukha na siya nung nasa left hand side natin. So pwede natin i-manipulate both the left hand side and the right hand side of the identity. Okay. Last example natin before we end is this identity. So we need to prove that the left hand side is always equal to the right hand side. So the ideal manipulation will happen on the left hand side. So we will always copy this. What can we do here is to cross multiply or add the fractions here by doing this. Ayan. And then and all over, this is the difference of two squares, so this is the denominator. But for the denominator part, you can actually simplify this by writing cosine squared as your Pythagorean identity. So what will happen? You can multiply these terms here. So ito yung kanyang sagot since perfect square itong terms na to, kaya magiging ganyan siya, and then it's equal to the right hand side all over cosine squared x. So by distributing the negative sign here, this will be negative, this will be positive, and then this will be negative. So what can you observe is meron tayong mga cancel na terms like susulat pa na natin before cancelling everything. So what can we cancel is this term, and also this 2. So ang natira na lang sa numerator natin is this. So this will be 4 sine of x over cosine squared x. But we are asked to prove that this is 4 tangent x and secant x. So what you can do is to manipulate this part. So on the right side of the screen, pwede mong gawin is sine x over cosine x times 1 all over cosine x, which is equal to the right hand side. This term is actually tangent x, and this function over here is secant x, which is equal to the right hand side. So nakuha na natin yung identity. On the next slide, ito yung mga helpful tips para makapag-prove tayo ng identity. So number 1, it is ideal to write the terms of the function as sine and cosine. So tandaan nyo to, kapag nakita nyo siya na hindi siya sine and cosine, you can manipulate these terms. Also, do not forget the Pythagorean identities. We have 3 in our list, which is sine of the angle, cosine squared of the angle is always equal to 1 plus tangent of the angle is secant squared of the angle, and then tangent squared is cosecant. And also do not forget your basic algebra for manipulating the trigonometric identities. And also you can memorize other trigonometric identities for you to have more chances of getting either the right hand side or the left hand side. Okay, so again, this is the summary of all the identities that we come so far. There are many more, and that will be discussed on the next videos. But for now, I invite you to like and subscribe, and also share this video. If you want to get notifications sa mga next videos ko, you can click the bell icon. So again, I'm Engineer Darwin, and thank you for watching this. See you on the next video.